Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the South Afrifur Podcast. You're listening to myself, Ivik Wolf, and my co-host, Scratch,
Yo.
this evening for our, what do we call it? South Afrifur feedback session. Those of you guys who are listening, I'm terribly sorry that we're about 10 minutes late on this, but unfortunately we had a couple of technical issues attempting to figure out how to use a microphone, which is a lot more difficult than it seems. So we do really apologize for that.
It's a lot more difficult
yeah.
than just using the built-in like normal headset mic.
That's correct, yeah. I mean, like it's voice meter, and then voice meter needs to go into here, and then things need to go here, and then things need to go there, and things need to be pushed into one area or another area. So that was interesting.
Yeah, welcome to my every week.
I'm sorry. But yeah, so here we are.
Having our little post-con debrief.
Yeah, also post-con depression, which actually hit me like super hard this week. It had everything to do with writing the post-con, what do you call that thing? Debrief session, exactly that thing. Like when I had to write it for both myself and other people's issues and blah, blah, blah. But the thing is that it's not that I'm too near to the mic. The mic has been turned off. I've literally, Bravura is actually mentioning this to me. He says that I'm distant to the mic, but the thing is that, I'm too close to the mic. But presently, this is off of my headset. I've reverted all the way back to just the headset.
We'll setup for now.
Yeah, we'll fool around with the other stuff a little bit later, I think. That might be useful. Okay, so yeah, I do apologize for that. That is mostly my fault. And Sudan is also apparently sorting out her sound. Raccoon is looking into First Stream chat is not looked after now because I haven't been on First Stream in like ages. If he really wants me to be there, I'll be there. But it's because we haven't actually... Oh.
What?
I forgot my login details.
Oh, joy.
Oh, okay. First stream will get a little bit of love. I'll be there. And that's the other thing. Like as Kink has also mentioned, Raccoon. First stream has kind of been very, very difficult. Like its maintenance hasn't been
up to snuff.
Yeah, which is actually kind of sad.
Yes.
Here now, but yeah, rather go to
furry.fm.
And for better quality, for
just in general, I suppose. Wouldn't even be for quality's sake, I suppose. But then again, we are still broadcasting to First Stream, so it will be available in both places. But yeah, furry.fm does have a little bit better quality.
Yeah.
Since I don't have to broadcast video there.
Yeah, and with that video thing, it's yeah. We'll see how we go from here.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I mean, you can still just have that as a recording anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, since it's going on YouTube.
Yeah, without having to stream to First Stream anymore. It's really, really a shame. I mean, I just saw, like, I was on the main page, and I understand Raccoon. Raccoon says that maybe we should do this in one place, but I'm not going to have this argument right now. Okay.
Ease up, China.
I
need to get so angry. Yeah, we were at post-con debrief. That's what we were here for, right?
Post-con debrief. Yes, that's exactly the thing. Turn my mic volume down a bit.
Okay, I'll set that so don't stress your pretty little head about it. Should be fine now.
Yeah, okay, maybe it'll...
There you go, should be done.
Okay, cool. Does that work better now, Bravura? Hopefully it is.
Yeah.
Everything seems okay.
Yeah, I just pulled your volume down a bit.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so.
Yeah.
Con debrief.
Con debrief. It was good.
Cool. Thanks for listening,
Yeah.
everybody.
Cheers, guys. Have a good evening. I'm going to be playing music in like 5 minutes.
I'm so glad we got that out of the way. Whew.
Yeah. Whew. I mean,
What a day.
have you switched
I'm
off the
beat.
stream yet?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. No. It was actually pretty good. There was a lot of issues that probably could have happened that didn't, which was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to see. I can actually pull some of the information that we had from the convention that I wrote down in the email that I sent to
Monsieur Patton.
Fred Patton, yes.
Okay.
Monsieur.
Well, yeah.
You know what? This thing says that it's muted.
No, you're fine. I can hear you. It's
No.
broadcasting fine. You'll be fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine!
I found out what the actual issue is.
Huh? What's your issue?
Voice meter was muted in my box.
Oh, joy.
I'm going to leave that.
Okay.
And I'm going to move over to the email. So obviously some of you who also have been following the South Afrifur convention for a while, Fred Patton has been sort of listening and thinking about things with bated breath, and we had to write a con report for him so that
he can write a thing.
Yeah.
For whom again? For?
Yes.
For whom is he writing it? Isn't it like his own anthology or something?
Yes. He's starting an article on South Afrifur furry meetings and conventions. As far as I remember, it should be going to an anthology, you're right. Great.
Okay.
Type in Fred Patton and I get like a belated confirmation. That's for the podcast. Progress report in a new project. Yes, my new anthology, Symbol of a Nation, with a story by Jaco Malan, set in South Africa and Namibia, those of you who might know about that. He's also writing for Dogpatch Press about South Africa's coming convention.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that'll be following. That'll be mentioned in that currently.
Which is cool.
Yeah, it's actually very cool. We'll be looking at. He'll actually be sort of releasing that on a new project for South Africa's for Dogpatch Press and South Africa's coming convention in July, as well as the past events. Hem and Rakuin have spoken to one another for it. He also says, Rakuin, stop.
What's this now?
No, he's just saying he should do it on Flavor. I'm pretty sure you guys can share news articles between you or anything like that, if anything.
I mean, we're happy to share any information about the con that anyone's willing to ask about. Like, if it
Or
winds up on
print
Flavor, sure, by all means.
Yeah. But yeah, so back on point, because messages keep on coming through and I keep getting distracted by them.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much the convention was an idea that I'd emailed a couple of people about it all the way back in the beginning of 2015 and thought, hey, this sounds like a great idea. We should totally do this because, we've tried to do these in 2008 and 2010. Those were successful. I want to see this on a relatively sort of different scale. I want to try to do and incorporate as much as I possibly, as much as myself and the team possibly could, to get it as close to a convention as possible. And it's one of the things that has been seen beforehand in respect to the previous, what we could call conventions, in that although it was a group of people from all over South Africa coming to meet in one area, and they had events and they had all of those things. I don't know, like it was different in essence. There was no sort of like set price for people. People kind of just had to pitch up, and nothing was sort of. I think things were organized. We'll put it like that. I think. Mm-hmm. Personally, as I've been part of the South African furry community since 2008 as well, But unfortunately, at that time, I was either too young or unable to travel to the areas that they wanted to have these things at. In fact, during 2010, I remember Scratch and I actually kind of spoke about the meet that was in Cape Town while both of us were in Cape Town, but I think we missed it somehow.
Yeah, I think weren't we too young still at that stage? I couldn't get into town properly. I think that might have been it.
Yeah, and I mean, Rakuin says yes, there were set prices, but the thing is that like there were things that were missing, little pieces that were missing in essence, in respect to things that could be considered like convention style things. I mean, if you look at the wiki page itself, does it have that information there again? Mind is not figuring out how to finally use the chat box. That's great. It's not a weird chat system. It's actually pretty fine. It's just a pop-up box. You press on Furry FM live chat. For those of you guys who want to join in there, you'll see that it comes with that little live chat logo on the side. You click that. You click Furry.fm live chat, and then you'll be able to chat to us over text from the website itself. I'm sorry, Mind. Very, very fancy. Hello, Sudan Red. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of people who actually went to the convention that are also here. So that's actually pretty interesting. We are really, really sorry that I seem as frenetic as possible.
How is this new, though?
This is newer than new. And live.
Yeah, that's the problem, unfortunately.
Yeah, this is the reason why I'd make a crappy live streamer.
We still need to do that, I think. As soon as we get fiber at the house, I think we could do some like game live streaming or gaming or something.
No, it's been on my to-do list for a while now. It's what games would I play in essence more than anything else. Anyway, diverting back to where we're talking. So, with respect to the convention itself, and if we look at Wikifur, and if we look at some of the arguments that were brought forward, I think a lot of that information was a little bit sketchy, I think.
Sketchy in what way?
I wouldn't necessarily know how to say this. Because we hadn't gone to the other conventions, or what we could call conventions, I'm not necessarily sure what was available there, what was being given there. And Wikifur, as the website, doesn't necessarily give a lot of information around the other conventions itself. They're very, very stub-articly. They just mention a group of people went here, they did these things, and that was it. But we were trying to find a more, I think both set venue. I know that it wasn't necessarily done as often. The people who organized it continually changed. For instance, cat, go away.
Focus.
Trying. So, I mean, in 2008, for instance, it was a successful meeting, if I'm not mistaken, in the Eastern Cape. And then the other one was the other Cape one. And every single time it tried to come to Gauteng, for instance, it failed. Magically. Mysteriously. But there were other issues that were in respect to that. People had issues with this, people had issues with that. It made it was difficult to sort of get through. I mean, like if you look at the information that's on the South Afrifur meet, for instance, you've got organized by, held between these dates at a specific guest house in Tableview, just north of Cape Town, 16 attendance. The 2009 meet didn't happen. The 2010 meet happened in Port Elizabeth. That's the Eastern Cape one. So we missed, it was the 2008 one that we missed, and the 2010 one was in Port Elizabeth, and we were like, well, we can't drive there.
Yeah.
And then 2011 was also supposed to be arranged, but did not occur due to lack of registered attendees. Then 2012 was an attempt, but also didn't occur because of loss of venue and inability to find an alternative venue.
Ugh.
And then, yeah, and we went through the exact same sort of, I guess, teething issues. Um,
Yeah, we did mysteriously lose our venue in Bloom. I mean, I wouldn't call it mysteriously, but we did lose our venue.
Yeah, no, we did lose our venue. Yeah, no, the videos and things like that, and Mind asks a pertinent question that's actually sort of, without making me backtrack every 5 seconds, has sort of, there will be videos that will be uploaded to YouTube from both con members. We'll also try to source a couple of video things as well as audio to sort of post onto South Afrifur, our YouTube site as well. Yeah. And somebody mentioned, no, it was Advolf that actually wrote the... That's exactly what you do, Cat. You just break things.
Could you focus?
Yeah. Did we just leave?
No, we're still live. You're just bitching about your cat.
But it's because my cat is... No, we're dead. We're dead on the stream.
No, we are not dead on the stream. It seems it's still fine here. Wait,
I can't hear it.
What's going on here now? Okay, 2 seconds. Are we still dead? Everything's still going here?
I think things are still going, yeah. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Can you hear me? You guys hear us?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Let me just check something.
This is strange.
Can you hear me? Here.
Yeah, I can hear. Fuck yeah, I can hear you. You're dead now, though. Your mic just clicked. Anybody from Furry FM?
Oh well, that was just a little trick that I was trying to do. It didn't help me at all.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay, they can hear both of us.
Cool. Okay.
But I can't hear Furry.fm.
That's fine.
Oh, audio issues. Okay, great. Welcome to Chaoscast.
Okay, so let's go. Where were we?
Scripted. Scripted audio issues, people. Yeah. So we were talking about like sort of everything leading up to this idea, and maybe blinkers would be a good idea, mostly because I'm going to just minimize this chat now. So there were proposed conventions between 2009 and 2012, where 2008 and 2010 were all organized, although 2010 doesn't have a attendees amount. 2011 obviously didn't happen, 2012 didn't happen, and things kind of fell apart from there, where there were no meets whatsoever between 2012 and I think when I sort of approached at that point it was Valerian and it was Rakuin who had mentioned, okay, yeah, but it's not on Wikifur. That's where I was looking, and he's obviously posted this now. There's the Flera article that does mention Electrocats meet. So there were 14 people who went to that meet. And again, at best, we could probably, and people are going to argue with me on this one, we could call these conventions. But
we've had people argue semantics about what can be considered a convention or not, like, for quite some time. In all honesty, like, we're calling it a convention because we try to do stuff that emulates actual conventions that we know of. Like, we put out room for artists to put down some of their wares. A lot of stuff got sold. We had raffles, stuff's going to charity. We had organized events. We had a venue that was booked out. That's our model or our idea of what a con should look like, and we followed that, so we called it a con.
Yeah, and I mean beyond that, obviously it was the raffles, it was the charity event that we had. We had a set schedule for everything as well in respect to what was going when, how these things were happening. We had set talks with prominent furries from both the South African community as well as the international community in Bravura. So those were all sort of set down in an events list over the 3 days that we were at the convention. All food was paid for by us. There was no, the only thing that people had to bring was their own alcohol. However, coffee, cool drinks, etc., were all provided by the venue itself. And I guess maybe those would be the reasons as to why we would call a convention. And the thing is that I mean, like obviously some people will disagree about this, but again, I'm not going to get bogged down with semantics currently. So I think at this point, the naysaying within the group currently, where there's one person who is a horse, who's actually not a horse, just calm tits, please.
Yeah.
So with that, we sort of got all these things together. We attempted to do something that was as close to a convention as possible, with respect to look, feel, scheduled events and things like that. We also kept it very, very sort of closed. For instance, I know that many people had at one point had said, no, but we should connect ourselves with a larger group of people. And our counter to that was something along the lines of we wanted something where a whole group of furries could sort of come together and not feel as though they'll be prosecuted by people from the outside. I mean, people have mentioned going to what was it? What's that thing up here at the Dome?
Rage?
Yes, considered like connecting us with Rage, and although it's a good idea, we just felt that it would kind of dilute the entire idea of what could be considered to be sort of like a closer perspective. We'd mentioned this as well on previous podcasts where we've spoken to Potteroo about what kind of sort of feel we're going for, what kind of look and what we really wanted from a convention. And Potteroo obviously runs Camp Feral, which I guess if we want to look at things that are comparable to one another and could still be considered to be conventions, Camp Feral was the closest one that we could actually attempt to try and get to. So it was that kind of thinking that got us onto that track. And now we'd originally scheduled everything for 2016, but 2016 fell through for various amounts of reasons. Some of it being, as some people have possibly said, lack of planning, a lack of communication between us and the venue that we had at the time. It's just that by the time we were supposed to have a lot of things done, we were still very much in the infancy stage of a large amount of things. And so we, at that point, had decided, wait, now let's hold on. Instead of giving a half-assed attempt at trying to do something and probably ending up with DashCon and or just the five of us there, that being us and the at that time there was only five of us. No, four. Five? Four.
Let's say five.
Five? Let's say five. There were five people who were... Yes, Accretion was still connected with us at that time. And again, it had to do with getting busy. It had to do with the idea that as much as we'd also wanted to open up a bank account specifically for South Afrifur, that kind of fell through because it was just an expense that couldn't necessarily be carried in any sort of sense of the word, especially with the amount of money that would be coming off of that bank account for no reason whatsoever. I wish I had a drink.
Okay, let's just focus.
Yes. like large amounts of vodka currently. So those were the issues that we kind of got caught up with in 2016, and then we postponed it. There was mass amounts of, I think, what would you call it, backlash?
Was it backlash?
I'm not necessarily sure whether it was backlash, whether it was, we knew it kind of talk.
Yeah. What would you call that? Told you so. A lot of told you so.
Told you so, yeah. And it was by that point, and the thing is that what kind of spurred us on from there is that we were like, well, we're missing the date, but let's start now and work towards next year around about the same time that we were considering doing that. So those were all issues that came forward throughout the entire convention and sort of the planning between 2015 all the way to where we've actually come to now with the group of people. For those of you who don't know, 28 people did actually pitch up to this. This included Bravura from Germany. This included, what was it, 5? Switzerland. I keep saying that. It's gonna become a meme. I'm memeing myself here because I can't get it out of my head that he's Swiss and not German.
He just speaks German.
He just speaks German, and it's that thing. It's that.
Okay.
I think at some point he just does tell me, you know what, the way that we're going to get rid of this little block of yours, we're going to say...
fuck it, he's just going to move to Germany.
Yeah, fuck it, just move to Germany, or just tell me that you speak Swiss German instead.
Okay, so...
Or something.
Back on track.
This actually happened a lot more often at the convention than anybody knows. We're obviously going to be uploading the talks that we had as well. And I made this mistake during one of those talks that was recorded. It's happened like every day. Yep, absolutely. Bravura is absolutely right. I did it every single day, except once when he wasn't around.
Yeah.
I auto-corrected myself before anything happened, and then that kind of happened. So in my mind, Bravura is German. Until I'm able to get rid of that like weird little mental block of mine. Moving on, of course, several times a day.
Do I need to get a pen? You're veering a fuck ton.
Maybe just get me a ruler.
I'm literally gonna click my fingers, then you need to refocus.
Put me on the N1, Lisa.
Okay.
Okay, so Bravura from Switzerland. What was it? Yourself, Oslion, Sudan came from Pretoria North.
Are we talking about Cape Town Furs now?
Cape Town Furs, yeah.
It was myself,
yourself,
Osline, Erdwolf, Sadrock, Taka, and Rocket.
1, 2, 3, 4,
6.
5, 6.
Yeah.
So 6 of those people who came to the convention were in fact from the other hub that we had. That being the Western Cape area. Mm-hmm. And obviously we would have loved more people from that side, but I mean, again, it did cost a lot of money to get to the areas. We did, however, organize lift clubs, or at least scratch organized lift clubs from Cape Town. There was posts on the South forum. Mm-hmm. And like, again, those are things that we actually sort of managed to get. We got a person from Switzerland, from Europe, who also at least said that he would love to come back next year, which is
a very good
very
sign.
Sweet. I say it's sweet. It was cute when I heard that. Any case, so those were the people that came. There was actually somebody from...
There were some Durban Furs as well.
Yes, was it 1 Durban Fur or 2 Durban Furs?
I'm unsure exactly. Let me bring up that list. Okay, but keep talking, Salon.
So there were groups of people that came from outside of the province that it was being held in. Weirdly enough, it was also outside the province that it was supposed to be held in, that being Gauteng. It was also outside the Free State. That was the venue that we lost. What was it, March?
Yeah.
Yeah, we lost our venue in March of this year, and we needed to rebook things for July, and sort of things from there would avalanche towards where we got to, and actually things started clicking together in the probably one of the most insane ways possible, where we had people who were registered. We mentioned all of these changes. Some people pulled out, more people came through. Sudan obviously says, you know what, thank God we lost that venue. I tend to agree with this, and in my con report I actually say the exact same thing, that it was actually yeesh, Kink. King says that he would have gone, but one of his co-workers broke both his arms.
Oof. That's rough.
Shit.
So, where's Benoni again? Is Benoni in...
Durban? Oh, it's outside Durban.
Where's Benoni?
Somewhere in Benoni. Oh, yeah. Fuck, Benoni. Whoops. Benoni is the bottom side of the Gauteng area.
Okay, so not that. Nearby. So we had one person from Durban, which was Halcyon.
Wrong? Yes,
Halcyon.
Benoni. Benoni and Brackenfell.
No, Benoni's in Gauteng.
Focus.
Okay, cool.
Focus. Okay, good. So, yeah, near Springs, that's it. East Rand. I'm thinking about... There's another one. It's Benoni, and then it's Brakpan is the name that I'm thinking about.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, there were a whole bunch of different people from different areas. A lot of them came from the Gauteng areas. Would you go under the bed, please? Run. Sorry.
Since that's closer than to most.
Yeah. But there were people who did make it out there, and we're very happy to have them to have come, and it was amazing. Bravura, especially coming all the way from
you got
Switzerland.
This? Yeah.
Okay, and it was like for the group of people that was there. So we mentioned that there were 28 people. We catered for them completely. The food was provided by the venue. The beds and things like that were provided by the venue. The entertainment, a large amount of the entertainment, especially throughout the day, was provided by the venue. Beyond that, we had quizzes, games. Sudan Red actually mentions that the food was excellent and om nom nom. Raccoon, actually, yes, I do teach like this. It's kind of strange, except the toast. Agreed. The toast was dry. That's about it. And old.
Squishy.
But beyond that, like the rest of the food was actually pretty good. Also, the toast made weird squeaky noises when you chewed into it.
It was squishy toast, unfortunately.
Squishy toast, yeah.
But yeah.
And there was no jam. I would love jam.
Honestly, least of the issues. There was jam. Was there not?
Was there jam?
I don't know.
Anyway, jam aside. We had, how many fursuiters did we have there? Because we actually ended up with, what, 8?
Yeah, I have some photos. Let me just
It was Yote, it was Sudan, it was
Yote, Sudan, Valerian.
Spike, Valerian, yeah, Wolf Spike, yeah. Yote, Sudan, Wolf Spike, Valerian.
Yeah, okay. So I'm looking at the photo here. There's Valerian, Metalis, Jake Dane, Wolf Spike, Sudan, Yote, Nixie, and who was it in the OO head?
Oh, Dragon Wolf.
It's a Dragon Wolf.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I completely. Like for the entire weekend, it was a mystery who was that in that thing, because I only saw it every now and then, and I couldn't catch the badge.
Ooh. Is that 7?
That's 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. That's 8.
Okay. If we've missed someone, just pop it in chat and we'll mention them.
You will get your dues.
Yeah. Yes, so those were the amount of fursuiters. We didn't necessarily do a lot of things in fursuit.
So as if we could go on much of a walk.
Yeah.
Go out into nature. That's about it.
Yeah, and then everything just gets dusty. So all those things actually kind of all came together in their own ways. And it was good to have everybody there. That's the ambitious idea. Focus on, at least for the first, keep the minimum age, yes. Do I really want to talk about that?
Well, we can.
Yeah.
I mean, we have valid reason.
Yeah. We did also keep the minimum age for this convention up to, for the attendance, up at 18 and up.
Yeah.
Because we were honestly not necessarily unprepared, but we were more both, well, technically I'll say unprepared and unwilling to deal with the legal ramifications that may crop up otherwise. We say this particularly because South Africa is still what we could consider to be a very conservative country, with an aversion to most new things. We wanted to ensure that we could at least begin to achieve something before we considered something as potentially difficult as lowering the admissible age to maybe 16 or 14 or anything along the lines of that, which would require parental either guidance or permission. And at the end of the day, because of that conservative nature, we were afraid how people would find the community before they even got to the convention, where we could actually have, I think, eye-opening experiences.
And let's call it a reasoned discussion.
Yeah, a reasoned discussion. Yes, agreed.
Right.
There wasn't necessarily a restriction on booze. Sudan mentions that there was a restriction on booze, but the thing is that the restriction was more along the lines of, meter yourself and try not to, drink yourself into such a stupor that you throw up all over the venue.
Yeah, see, we had, the venue itself posted the rule to us that they're fine with alcohol, they're not fine with drunken behavior. Like,
yeah.
Keep it to yourself. Also, I think what Sudan is mentioning is...
Yeah, oh, right.
Excuse me. In that there is alcohol involved, or there was a lot of alcohol involved, and having someone sort of babysit a minor and keeping them away from alcohol and stuff like that would have sort of kind of diminished the experience for some people, I believe, or in my mind. So yeah, I mean, there's quite a few like legal considerations that we wanted to have at least for this first con to consider, not bringing in the youngins just yet.
Yeah, and I mean, Sudan mentions that it would cut into our drinking time.
Yeah, which is so precious when you're an adult. Like, I need me my drinking time.
I mean, if I'm not mistaken, Badge cracked a beer at like 11, and if I'm not mistaken, during our talk, which was like at 12,
both of us had
in the
drink.
afternoon, both of us had to drink as well. It was insane.
Not to say we were wasted the whole time. We were just drinking the whole time.
Yeah, you see, I mean, like in Raccoon mentions, you would, if you want to use the advisor you never talk to, is that right? This is the reason why we can't have nice things. LSF requires an adult who is responsible for underage attendees to be there at all times and supervise them. So if you're willing to fly down, Raccoon, considering that you're also volunteering, would you like to be the adult that supervises the underage attendees?
Yeah, like I understand that there were a lot of youngins that wanted to come. We got emails from some of them saying like please, is there any way we could like maybe shift this age, or like, are you guys 100% dead set on not having someone of like not having under 18s there? But yeah, from a legal standpoint, we don't want to be involved in anything that could legally hurt our chances of doing this again in the future. So that's also a consideration that we went through before saying no, we're not having like minors at the con.
But so is what you're saying when it comes to an adult who is responsible for underage attendees, does that mean that there should be like an adult per child, so all parents, or would there be one parent that would be more than willing to watch the youngins the entire time? It feels like it would be like, here, you've become constaff, but you're also, a mother of a child at the age of 5. So considering that, you might as well not drink so that you can. It's maybe that's the kind of sort of thing as well. Klaka also mentioned, so a parent of the child has to attend as well, and that does sound a little bit like a drag at present.
I wouldn't call it a drag. It's just, is the parent gonna be in on it? Like, is the parent gonna get as much value out of it instead of just being the one person there who like completely unironically says, "Fucking furries, what the hell is this?
What are these people? Stop rubbing up against me."
Yeah, stuff like that.
And it's someone else's kid that's doing it. Oh my god, I'm going to go away from that for like 15 seconds.
Please shut up.
I'm never coming back to that, by the way. Don't.
Cool. Please shut up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Continuing on.
So has to be someone who is responsible for that child or children. 2 underage attendees for 2 days, and their parent or guardian was there as well. But that raises the question of if they were from different families.
In what sense?
And they wanted to go along, alone, for instance. I mean, there are several people within Gauteng and within the Western Cape that at least I know of that are under the age that would dearly love to come, but the thing is that would mean that their parents would have to come.
Mm. And there are a lot of people whose parents don't even know this stuff that they're into. Like, not in a weird way, but like, they're not furries or fur-friendly themselves. And how much are they going to enjoy themselves being there with a bunch of weird people that they don't know, that they don't share any common interests with, and just watching their kid sort of hang around with a bunch of drunk adults.
Mm.
Not constantly drunk, but, South Africans gonna braai.
Mm. And South Africans gonna drink.
Yeah.
Heavily, a lot of the time, except for Klaka, who's mentioned that alcohol is non-existent for him, which is not a bad thing. Teetotaling is not that bad.
No, at all. Very much not so.
But as the old wolf also says, having minors around also simply seems like too much effort. So for those kinds of reasons, and I mean, you can see that we did actually take this into account. We were considering at one point, and for the legal ramifications, the idea of having either somebody responsible for everybody, having to be as, I think, what would you call it? A PC is a bedtime for the kiddies.
Mm-hmm.
So that the adults can... Exactly, and like Klaka also says, but feel bad that we can't have them share some of these memories, especially in the after parties, especially in the conversations that were had up until 2 or 3 or up until the next morning with certain furs, while probably enjoying a drink. And the thing is that those are things that we had to take into account. And it would just, I don't know, it would, I think, water down the effect. I understand that the kids were having a great time, but then again, like, if you could give me an indication of age, for instance, if they were 6 or 7 or 8 or 10, I would understand that would probably be a great time because those kids are used to having a bedtime. But if you're like 16 to 18, for instance, where does that put us? They're old enough, in essence, to consent to a large amount of things, but they're not old enough to technically drink. It's pretty much like that entire idea of, oh, you're 18 now, you can go to war and have your leg shot off, but the American age of drinking is 21, so by the time you get back from the war at the age of 19, and you kind of like roll into a bar, you can't legally be served alcohol, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's really, really big issues in respect to that, and I think it's good that we're coming open online about this as well. so that it wasn't just like screw the under 18s. It was there were very many reasons as to why we both couldn't and just
chose not to.
Chose not to. Yeah. So that is that entire idea of minors. It scares a lot of us, as Yod actually mentions. What are they going to think? What happens when and this actually happened, what was it, in 2013, when I first came up to Gauteng. I invited a whole bunch of furries to my flat, for instance, and the flat was full. There was barely any space in the balcony. I was afraid that the balcony would fall down. There were furries everywhere, and I had one rule, and it was, no funky stuff. And funky stuff happened. They were then duct taped. Not going to mention any names, but if they do listen to this podcast, they know exactly who they are. They're of age now, which is absolutely fine, but still, even if you were of age, funky stuff. Not in my flat. I don't want that. I don't want to clean up somebody else's mess. Let's put it like that.
Yeah.
But booze was involved. There was a 15-year-old here whose father dropped them off. I spent, I think, if I'm not mistaken, around about 2 hours running up and down my stairs trying to receive people, take them to the flat, running down, running up. So imagine the image of a extremely tired, but every single time he goes up, he takes like a drink or a swig of something, then runs back down. So at this point, both, sweaty and probably smelling of booze, greeting a father of a 15-year-old boy and saying, "Hi, welcome to the flat. Pick him up when you need to. We'll take very good care of him."
That leaves a good impression.
Yeah, I know, right? I mean, it doesn't do well. It's just that kind of thing. I've bench pressed furs before as well, but then again, that's other issues, completely different issues.
Yeah.
Taka was actually, you were at that meet, weren't you?
Taka. Taka or
no.
Paka?
No, Taka. Wasn't he a Joe? No, he wasn't.
No, he's not a Joburg fur, unless he was there randomly.
I don't know. Everybody knows about the fact that I bench pressed furs for a while.
Yeah, don't know why though.
As soon as I get fit again, I'll try it.
Good luck.
Yeah. 10 rand per press. Okay. I'll give it to a random charity. Speaking of,
yes,
we had the raffle, for instance. We had a large amount of things thanks to both South yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The Nordgaard sets we had, we'd actually gotten them from Tempo, who'd organized it for us. They were all signed by the original creators, as well as some and designers. And some of the other merchandise that we also had were things that came from... No, it was the Nordgaard sets, and then some of Tempo's books. I remember, if I'm not mistaken, the Windfall books were there, as well as Six's Wild. We actually had raffled as a set. We had a couple of other paraphernalia that we also that were actually donated by some of the congoers. For instance, if I'm not mistaken, Advolf donated one of his books.
Yep.
And
Sudan Red auctioned off 2 sketches. Or not auctioned off, raffled off 2 sketches.
Raffled off 2 sketches, yeah. So those were things that happened there, and the people. It was something that maybe we didn't necessarily expect, because given the amount of people that had at some point sort of pulled away, because the convention itself was too expensive for them. We thought, well, if this is the way that people are going to be about things like this, we didn't necessarily expect as much as was actually handed, or that we're eventually going to hand over to the, I have the words here, the Wolf Sanctuary, the Garden Route Wolf Sanctuary in, or just outside of Neisner.
Mm-hmm.
The furs for the raffle itself raised 2,130 rand. It comes down to around about $180.
Yep.
Yeah. Although for us, 2,130 rand is a fair amount of money. We, as the convention, then also matched that amount. So it comes down to 4,260 rand in total.
Mm-hmm.
That would be payable to the Garden Route Wolf Sanctuary.
Yeah. That we shall do shortly.
Yes, we'll do so shortly. And weirdly enough, yes, Rakuin mentions that he went to that wolf sanctuary with Nanook when they had that, when they had the fur meet in 2010. So yeah, 4,260 rand. In essence, if you think about it, that's the rent of, or at least 1 month's rent on a, depending on where you stay, on a relatively nice flat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, so that's, yeah, it wasn't South Afrifur activity. That's fair. Yes, yes. No, I know that some people have actually gone to the Wolf Sanctuary with Nanook on 2 or 3 occasions. I think even Doge has gone to the Wolf Sanctuary. So
As have I,
yeah,
on
and
my own accord.
and you have as well. And you've shown me pictures and made me terrifyingly jealous. And
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, so it came down to a total of 4,260. Obviously, those of you who don't know, South Africa doesn't have any natural wolves in South Africa, or native ones. But the majority of their benefactors are then abandoned exotic pets.
Yeah.
Obviously, in addition to these wolves, there's the sanctuary also cares for other wild canines. And one of the reasons why we chose the wolf sanctuary is because those of you who've been following the news recently, there were extremely, like, massive wildfires in Knysna itself, and we thought that, well, since a lot of the effort and help efforts would be going towards, human resettlements and everything like that, that, nature reserves and sanctuaries like the Wolf Sanctuary would be left in hindsight more than anything else. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, today we'd gone to a pet shop in somewhere in Pretoria that actually had a poster up that is talking about raising money for the Wolf Sanctuary itself as well. So we're in the right niche market here, if we have to think
Huzzah!
about it like yes. Or a graphics card, that's fair. Or a lot of sweeties, says Clocker. That's the amount of money. Once someone had tried to train as a police dog, but that didn't work out. So I guess a wolf as a police dog.
Yeah, that doesn't work. Wolves are not naturally super feisty like German Shepherds are.
Fucking chav. Anyway, uh, so I mean, it really did actually come. It came to the good on a large amount of aspects. Granted, some of the events, but this is more the venue itself. Um, some of the events, at least what was it, the obstacle course as well as the gladiator arena, were a little bit worse for wear. To the point that some of the things actually reminded us of going through some sort of dystopian zombie setting places because they looked so abandoned. There were these, and everything was relatively dusty. But the thing is that I think everybody had a large amount of fun on this. I personally couldn't do, for instance, a large amount of the gladiator arena or the obstacle course, particularly because I have my left arm dislocates. Yeah, my left arm shoulder dislocates quite a lot, and uh, especially when my arms are above my head and I need to put any kind of weight on it at all. The sound is an absolutely unbearable one if you're anywhere nearby the shoulder, and if you're anywhere nearby the shoulder when it gets popped back in, it's twice as bad.
Yeah.
It's like
It's a bit gross.
yeah, it's imagine the sound. I'm not sure if anybody eats chicken bones. Yeah? Oh, fair enough. Um, great. You distracted me by telling me not to be distracted.
Yeah.
Okay. So a large amount of people did have fun with that. Some people got a little bit hurt. I myself, I think, had a near-death experience.
Yeah.
Um,
Almost banged
in
his
the
head
way
out
that,
on a metal girder. But
yeah,
yeah, but he didn't. So good.
still alive.
Yeah. Right.
Apparently, I can. Yes.
Yeah. So those are the physical obstacles. Like some people just just sort of looked at the obstacle course and it's like, nope. I know I paid for this, but nope.
Yeah.
Kelton was a
Although I
bit
have to
miffed
say,
about that, but still.
yeah,
Or
eh,
Yukon, yeah.
I'm doing science and I'm still alive. Moving on from that. I need to move from that. Okay. So yes, I'm here. I'm here. Don't worry. Um, and some of the issues that we also sort of had is that where the con should be held, what the prices are, slow responses from venues, slow responses from furries.
Yeah, like
What?
what
Yeah.
was it? We had two people join quite literally a week before.
Nipperki.
Yeah.
Not even a week. Yeah. What was it? We'd literally sort of said, this is the cutoff date in an email. Um, and like we'd actually said, this will be the cutoff date. And people sort of like said, please. And we were
Yeah.
like, we'll try. And we did. And they came. And it was fun. It was, yeah, no, it's fine. Um, Responses from venues, at times fair amounts of pushback. Uh, that's obviously for between 2016 and 2017. Not that 2017 brought any less of those issues, mind you. It's
Mhm.
just that we were, I think, better prepared for them.
Yeah.
Um, when it comes to the pricing of the convention, if people have been to international conventions before, and for a South African to go to an international convention is pretty much like hoping that you're going to get 2 months' salary in advance and be able to pay it for everything else. Like, I think, what's it, the general earning rate around here, at least amongst most people, would it be anything between 20 to 30 to 40,000 rand per month, which in essence is down to like a large amount of, on a per monthly basis, anything from 40, yeah, no, yeah, 4 flights, anything from 48,000 rand return to an international location. Then you still need to buy your con tickets, which is anything between $400 to $800. Um, that comes up to a very, very large amount of money.
Mm.
And when it comes to hours, yeah, AC. There we go. Yote Fox says it worked out for Yote to go to AC would cost anything between 50 to 70,000 rand. There are people who don't even earn that on a yearly basis in South Africa. That's definitely saying something. And it was
Yeah.
something that we had to look into. So, I mean, 15 or 1,500 rand is four again. And we've spoken to international furs about this as well, just to get like a good feel as to what the prices were, for instance. And if I just had to go into dollar to rand right now, just 12.92 rand to the dollar, so 1,500 rand comes down to $116, which is 3 nights accommodation, food included. Bring your own booze, of course, which in South Africa is relatively cheap. But then again, comparing currencies, not necessarily the best thing to do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, with 1,500 rand in South Africa, as I mentioned, that some people don't even earn 70. Some people don't even earn at times. Some people don't earn $5,419 per annum.
Mm.
We'll put it down. They don't earn that amount of money on a per annum basis. And that's definitely something that we really had to look into. Um, as Sudan mentions at other places, you don't necessarily get 3 meals. You don't get these things. All of these things are paid for privileges. And that was the one thing that we'd attempted to do as best as possible. Make it as cheap as we possibly can without necessarily, skimping out on certain, luxuries, for instance.
Yeah.
Raccoon mentions that LSF is a professional chef. Woohoo! Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. We talked about it internally, and like 1,500 rand for a weekend away with full accommodation and food is not all that expensive in retrospect. Like it might be a big sort of lump sum, but it is like a weekend away regardless. And the people who are kind enough to put down cash as sponsors and super sponsors helped us get a lot more stuff into the con that we
yeah.
that we initially could have. Like all the raffle prizes sort of came out of our pockets, and we can at least sort of reimburse some of the folks for that now.
Yeah.
The the shirts are all like paid for and done. We could pay EC for the badge work that she did. Um, Essentially everything is paid for, and the con is sort of breaking even, which is more than most of us expected, to be dead honest.
Mm. I mean, that was actually the most sort of like, I think that's the one thing that blew my mind, is the idea that every single person that we spoke about who'd arranged conventions and things like that said, don't ever expect to break even. In fact, you're probably going to be so far in the red that there are some conventions that literally closed down because they owed something like $15,000. And they were trying to get that money back. I think it was one of the conventions in Brazil.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that what they did was wrong or how they organized things was wrong. It's just that it just happened like that. That they didn't get the expected amount of people. They didn't get all of these, other things to sort of happen.
Mm.
And that's how deep in the red you can be. That's a large amount of money that one or two or five people get put into debt with. But at present, we're sitting in the black when it comes to that, and we do have a little bit of money that we can begin to use to, I think, both get, say, con memorabilia going again and get all of that kind of stuff going. And that's something that we really want to do from this point onwards. Is that because it was the first convention, there was no basis for being able to say, well, we have this amount of money that we can spend on these things. It was more along the lines of we were kind of waiting at times for convention money to come in before we could do anything.
Mm.
As Sudan says, take my money, give me good times. And we were.
Yeah, like I'm hoping at the end of the day we could do that.
Yeah. So it's something that we can definitely sort of look into for next year, to be able to use the funds that are left over to then, because that's what I think to a large extent when it comes to sponsors and super sponsors. And once again, we do want to thank those who did either come as sponsors or super sponsors. We thank you profusely for being able to, have that for us. And we're obviously going to be trying to do far better next year. In respect to what we can give as value for money. Because that was, I think, my main intention was always to make it value for money from beginning to end.
Yeah.
So we had to choose places like, the University of Free State's open residences, which during the holidays gets rented out to people. We had a few things that we could have done in the Free State, but then again, it's the Free State. And it's that kind of perspective that we needed to go through. I should not look at chat. Ladies of the night. Moving on. So we've spoken about the venue. The obviously other activities that we had is that we had an ad hoc artists alley. Mm-hmm. I think it was on the Saturday morning. I think for about, what was it, an hour and a half?
Oh, it was. We scheduled it for an hour and a half, but It essentially ran throughout the whole weekend.
Mm. But I mean, it was just to get people to say, like, I have these things that I'm making or that I'm creating or anything like that. People were free to then wander from one point to the next point, have conversations with the artists. But again, with that entire idea, I know that other artist alleys don't necessarily, they're much like, say, Rage. If you are a person who is selling merchandise at Rage, you get a merchandise card, you pay for that. You pay to sell your own merchandise by paying something like, 15 to 10% of your earnings back to the venue, as well as paying for your attendance ticket to be and have a desk there for, say, 3 days. What we actually did is we said, well, we'll open up the floor to anybody who is an artist or a creator or anything like that to find a place to sit down and then say, I do these things. And people will go, I buy these things from you. And then that was kind of the entire thing. We wouldn't charge them extra for it because we want to see our creators grow. And that was something that was extremely important to us. EC, who did all of the badges for us, for instance, she was reimbursed for her work as well. And one of the things that we did do, because she couldn't make it to the con herself, we carried her badge around. It was either, I think it was between you and me, Scratch.
Like essentially most of the admin stuff.
Yeah. We made sort of like this little pact that said, considering that she'll be a guest of honor in absentia for the work that she has done for the South African community, that we would carry her badge with any one of us, just to, say that she is an artist, she did all these badges, do you like the quality of them, go commission her, kind of thing. And those are things that we like to do. It's things that we enjoy doing quite a lot. And Bravura has actually posted a photo of, the artist Cat.
Of the artist alley.
Yeah, that's a picture of the artist alley. As you can see, those of you who don't necessarily or can't necessarily read the things in the back there, we were talking about the idea of a conservative community. That is the Onze Vader, or the Our Father in the back there, as well as Psalm 29.
Looks like it.
As well as Valerian over there with a stokkie lekker in his mouth, and say Bick. That's Nixie, who does both art commissions as well as fursuit commissions. There's Dean, he doesn't do any commissions, he's just looking through the book. Atwolf is the guy with the brown hat without his without his face being recognized by anybody. Sudan is sitting in the back corner over here, drawing into that little sketchbook next to the blue space case. What are you? Hey! And that's Equifox, yeah? Leaning over Dean.
I believe so.
And the one with their back to us is Taka.
Let me check real quick. Could you just link that in Skype for me, please?
It's... okay. Goopy. Pissed. This is Bravura's chat. Oh no. Everything's frozen on.
Alright, I'll...
Okay, I'm alive. Pissed. Enter. I really do want to ferret for this for just like 15 seconds. The messages that you sent me when we weren't actually being able to hear each other.
Yeah.
Reads like a poem.
Okay. I don't see... oh, here it is. Okay.
Yeah, just posted it to you.
Okay.
And there, Yod Fox's Bravura is actually putting that here. That Ivik hogged. What did I do? Oh, right, of course, I did bait. Yes, fine. I didn't hog all of them. There were just a large amount of, like, white plastic sticks at some point in one of my pockets. Like 5 of them over the weekend.
You ate a lot of sugar over the weekend.
Yes, I did. I think I broke a tooth.
Really? Again?
No, well, it's not my front tooth. It's a less seen tooth.
Alright.
There were a large amount of them. I didn't necessarily eat all of them, I promise. I
Okay.
stole them. Okay. So one of the other pictures that are there are Yote Fox's heads that you'll see. There's Yote Fox is the blue one. No, it isn't. Yote Fox is the green one.
Oh, the blue one as well.
No, the blue one has a different name.
Vex.
Vex, yes, correctly. And the one at present that looks a lot like what am I going to call that? A cat, a hairless cat, an Egyptian hairless cat.
That one.
Yeah. An Egyptian hairless cat is the one that I've commissioned from him so far. You'll see that there are more fursuit pictures here, this being in the evening. This is interesting. I like it. We had an evening photo? Huh. Okay. Vex, yes. Green is Yote 1.0. Vex is blue. And... oh, is that the first night? Okay, that's great. So, yeah, that's... what else is there? There's a lot more to talk about. I'm just trying to figure out. General consensus, obviously, that the majority is positive, as those of you who can see who actually went are actually giving all their positive feedback here as well. When it comes to my closing or the closing thoughts, these are my personal closing thoughts. I could actually say that I was bright-eyed and bushy-tailed about it. Scratch knows how bright-eyed and bushy-tailed I was, because 2015 was also around about the same time that this entire thing that we're doing, podcast, was envisaged?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Envisioned.
And also this was started up as well as that, and I was like going, I must do all the things. I mean, I was busy trying. I was at this point speaking to Valerian about trying to help out with the forum. I was speaking about this and I was speaking about that, and I was like, yes, no, we must do all of these things, and we must do them now, and this must be everything, and I can't concentrate anymore, and suddenly everything just, I don't know, my brain mentally like sort of melted down here by 2016. And around about like early 2017, I was still going through like throes of extreme and utter burnout at the time. But even so, you know, having to be able to do that and having to be able to achieve, I think, what we did achieve at the end. And there's that other point as well, but I'll get to that. But getting to where we've gotten to so far is... I'm going to murder her.
Focus.
Okay. If it wasn't for the support staff, that being Scratch, Yukon, Yote, Pawdcast, Valerian, in the initial stages as well with Accretion, if it wasn't for that kind of like support from that perspective, I'm not necessarily sure we would be where we are if we hadn't continued talking about it, if we hadn't continued, you know, taking the initiatives and saying, no, it will be a success. And I still remember there were conversations that I had with Scratch at times, and I was like, dude, I can't do this. And Scratch literally just looked at me and he said, it's going to happen. Whether you like it or not, it's going to happen.
The wheels are in motion. You can't do jack about that now.
No, and it's that kind of like support that came from them that I'm truly 100% thankful for. Yukon, because he's just so damn good at, you know, organizing things. Adwolf and I, for instance, are very, very much the same when it comes to our mental capacity, where everything is this pie-in-the-sky dream thing, and somebody needs to get a lasso, and it's not going to be me, because I've got no idea how to fucking get that down. But somebody has to go, like, here, let me anchor your dream for you. And that's kind of one of the things that I appreciate very, very much from our con staff is that whenever it seemed like things were going off the rails, there was somebody who was going to go, wait, let me just stop you right there. Stop your little spin and let's focus, like you're doing right now, Scratch.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that I'm eternally grateful for, because without that, I don't know, I'd probably be in a mental institute or on pills. And either of them are still probably a relatively good thing that might actually happen. I say good, but I mean that they might even happen eventually, but not this year, at least. Maybe not next year either. And for that, I really was thankful for the team that we put together. And it wasn't just me who put this team together. I would always be constantly speaking to Valerian. And Valerian would ask me, like, who do you want to put into these positions? I'm going to sit in there going, like, I don't know. And I was like, well, Scratch might be a good choice. Yukon runs his own business. Well, why don't we try putting that in there? Pawdcast, well, actually, Yukon brought him in and that kind of thing. And Yukon was like, this guy's very good at graphic design and designing of websites and things like that. And he's actually pretty good at organizing things as well. And with Yote, because of his, I think to a large extent, we spoke to him ostensibly because he knew he follows international furry movements. Mm-hmm. And he does that kind of stuff where he actually speaks to people. And he had a very wide network of people that he could actually speak to about specific things. We kind of lent on that as well. People who weren't part of Constaff, even, that being Taka and Rocket, for instance, who were fresh from Anthrocon, where we asked them, what did they do? Give us an inside ear, beyond asking Potteru, beyond asking the guys who did Lakeside Furries, beyond the guys who did, but we never actually spoke to them. But we spoke to somebody who was connected to Eurofurence, if I'm not mistaken, yeah? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So beyond all of that kind of stuff, we kind of lent on our own South African, people who'd gone to conventions like that, and we said, so we see what they're doing, but what can we do within this budget? And it actually came down quite well to sort of that kind of perspective is that we wanted the outsider's perspective to tell us what we could do and what they would enjoy if we could be able to do it. And that was good for us, I think. And so there was a large amount of things that actually came through with that. And the one thing that I said at the convention that I will obviously say again is that, the one thing that kind of kept, I think, sometimes not just even me going, is that entire idea of build it and they will come. That was the entire sort of perspective behind it. If anything, if you wanted to put down South Afrifur, build it and they will come. South Afrifur 1, build it and they will come. South Afrifur 2, the crash. I don't know. South Afrifur 3, the fallout. South Afrifur 4, now starring Bruce Willis.
South Afrifur 5, the resurrection. Just continuously tack on these horrible cliche things.
Mm-hmm. What you guys don't know is that we are making titles for everyone from here to 5 already. I've done this before. I was doing it with Badge the other day. We were talking about anniversaries. We were thinking about buying a bottle of whiskey, for instance. I already have the first 5 years worked out.
Okay.
So yeah. Oddly enough, Ghost Furries, Raccoon, if you really wanted to go, if you did come to South Afrifur at Machali's retreat, Ghost Furries probably wouldn't have been a bad title.
Ghost Furries.
Mm-hmm. Yote says, South Afrifur, the African Anthrocon. Think positive. Huh.
Fair point.
Yeah. Fair enough. Okay. But yeah, so that's my side of this entire thing, and I know that you haven't really spoken a lot, Scratch. So you want to take the next 10 minutes or so, because we did run 10 minutes late before we actually came on here. If you want to speak for a while, maybe you can also just give us a little bit of an input on how you felt about it, why you think it was a success, and, blah.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, I said at the con what my 2 win conditions were. It's that everyone has fun and nobody dies. Both of those win conditions were met. So, in all honesty, I think it was a success. I've been chatting to some people afterwards, and even during the con about their experience, whether they need anything, like what's going on, and everyone seems to have had a good time. And at the end of the day, just most of the chips just lined up. It was a case of well, then they will come, because this was our big experiment, sort of like to see whether this is something that we can pull off in future, and whether this is sustainable, essentially. And so far, at least, it seems that there is enough interest to sustain this at least for another year or so, depending on who's interested and who's available and who wants to do something like this again. But we built it, they came, the chips sort of fell in all the right places, and we aren't left with so much negative feedback or so much
Debt.
or debt as well, but so much what am I gonna say, destructive events that have happened, that we won't attempt this next year.
Yeah.
I believe. So all in all, I think this was quite a roaring success. There's a lot of people who seem to want to come out and experience this with other people and with us. So yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure all the con staff are thankful that it happened the way it happened, and that everyone who was there did show up and enjoyed themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my whole take on the thing.
Oh, my wine is there. Sorry, there's a picture that was put onto here. I look like a complete and utter bridge troll. Everybody else actually looks like relatively attractive, and I'm kind of sitting there going, oh.
And this is different from how? From normal day how?
Fuck you. But yeah, if those of you guys who are looking in the chat, yes, my wine is in fact sitting on the steps with me, because that's kind of how it went. That wasn't wine, that's got bubbles in it. That's OBS.
Ugh, you people with your horrible drink combinations.
It's OBS and Coke.
Yeah, that's horrible.
What?
Fine. I don't know how you guys drink that, but whatever. I'm not the boss of you.
You don't have to be. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
No, I've said my full, and I think you have as well. Well, yeah, and at the end of the day, it's just, I suppose we can just wrap it up by saying, like, to everyone who attended and everyone who took this chance with us, and the crazy adventure, I suppose, stepping into the darkness that we did. Yeah, thank you guys for doing it with us and at least having fun on the way there. We hope that we can do something similar in the future, so you guys can have as much fun and we can attract more people to enjoy this with us.
Yeah, and I mean, again, if there are any questions from the chat as well in respect to, whatever you want to hear, whatever you want to, talk about or anything like that, please don't hesitate to, put in your 15 cents, 20 cents, 1,500 grand.
However much you want to help.
Yeah, book your spot early, very early. I think we should probably, if we do want to talk about future cons and things like that, obviously, there will be another update at some point, probably within the next month or so, about, because we'll put it like this, right? We decided as a group of individuals, us as the con staff, that when we left on the Monday, that we wouldn't talk to each other until the end of the month again.
Yeah, but
That fell through like immediately.
Yeah. Also, here I am.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But you and I had a different. Taka Lion obviously says whispers CT 2018. We'll see about that. Again, those are things that are on the cards for conditions of talking about. There are other things that we also need to consider there in what happens and how those things happen. But yeah, again, expensive is the word that I wanted to say because I'm looking at the chat again. But expect us to have an update at some point as to what we were thinking about for next year, either by email or by post on the South forums or whatever social media you guys do follow from us. Yeah. We'll mention it there. Either have some sort of document ready for what needs to be spoken about for next year. And yeah, so we're getting close to 2018 already. Sheesh.
Yep.
I have to start this engine again.
Yeah, let's just take it easy first.
Let's get to the end of the month first because work starts tomorrow for me. Not that I took off on any of the days between. Well, I did actually. I went to work on the 20th and the 21st consecutively, and both of them were dead boring. And I've got a lecture from tomorrow onwards. Yeah. Yoda actually mentions we do kind of have a good idea for 2018 going already. There are other people who are also considering conventions, and we're hoping that in part and parcel we either inspired or vexed them enough to have them say, well, we must create we must do these kinds of things. Yeah. And that's actually amazing. That was the point.
Yeah.
That was the exact point. Build it and maybe other people will build too. Maybe not necessarily using our name or anything like that, but if they want to, they can because we've shown that we can.
Yeah. Shows that there's a market and that there's people who are at least, sort of interested in this.
Yeah, we do probably need a South Afrifur invitation video for the next convention, but then Scratch, is that going to be in the budget?
Say again?
An invitation video.
Invitation video. We'll have to
see. I'm just going to put this out there. If there's going to be an invitation video, it's going to be live. Well, not live, but there will be people in it. It's not going to be animated. It will be a whole bunch of people in front of a camera doing, very, very badly delivered lines, if that's the case. If that's what you really, really, really want, then we'll do it. We'll do that.
It's like Office Season 1 level shit. But we'll see what we can do. I mean, this isn't going to be shot professionally in any way, shape, or form. Like, this is going to be off of someone's phone and stitched together with like royalty-free music in the background.
Between songs. Okay, so there's an idea from Bravura. Bravura obviously took a large amount of recordings. Throughout this music session, what I will probably try and do is, Raccoon, I'm not going to sing My Little Pony songs.
Okay.
Okay, but in any case, if you... Oof.
What?
Okay, so Bravura has sent me a large amount of audio already. Okay. So I'll be putting these in between the... We'll be putting these in between the music, so this gives you guys an extra reason to stick around. Speaking of which, I need to fix my audio.
Yeah. You do that.
Yeah. It's not a pony convention, Raccoon. It's a furry convention. It's a difference. But we should obviously be happy with anybody that comes. I understand that. We'll send it to the bronies. If that's the case, we'll do the whole, this is your singing telegram. I hope it finds you well. You're invited to a con because we really think you're swell. or we think you're really swell. I don't grammar.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so we do have a couple of audio things that Bravura has sent through to me, so I will sparsely put them through the music that will be following. Obviously, for those of you who want to request songs, you guys can start requesting now. Hopefully, I'll be able to type them out while I'm trying to figure out my audio, to see that everything's doing as well as it can. And then, yeah, so, put down your requests for now. I will attempt to get to them as much as I can throughout the rest of the podcast and radio show, which will, if God willing, within the next 10 minutes, unwilling within the next 20 minutes, and completely and utterly unwilling probably within the next half hour. So do stick around and listen to some of the tunes that Furry.fm has to offer you guys. Rakuin says that I should play some Linkin Park. This is fair. I will concede to that. Sudan says I need to play Beep Beep, I'm a Sheep.
Obviously.
Yay. But yeah, okay, great stuff. So from our side, myself and Scratch and the South Afrifur Pawdcast and the Con Roundup, as we like to call it now, we'll see you guys next week. We do have, I think, a guest lined up for then. We also have a guest lined up for the 13th. He's a writer, but we'll tell you more about that closer to the time. All right.
Cool. Thanks for listening in, everybody.
Yes. Thank you for listening in.
Cheers, cheers.
Cheers, guys.